Hello, a very good morning to all. In the previous lecture, we have studied the concept of regenerative feed heating and leading of steam turbine from the fourth chapter of the subject thermal engineering, that is steam turbines. In today's lecture, we are going to study the concept of governing of steam turbines. So now let's start with the concept of governing. First, let's see what is the definition of governing. Steam turbine governing is the procedure of controlling the flow rate of steam to a steam turbine so as to maintain its speed of rotation as constant. तर गव्हर्निंग आपण कशासाठी करतो, तर टर्बाइनची स्पीड जी असणार आहे त्या स्पीडला कॉन्स्टंट ठेवण्यासाठी जी प्रोसिजर केली जाते त्याला आपण म्हणतो गव्हर्निंग. आता लक्षात घ्या की टर्बाइनची स्पीड कशावरती डिपेंडंट आहे, तर ती डिपेंडंट असणार आहे त्या स्टीमच्या फ्लो रेटवरती. मग आपल्याला गव्हर्निंगमध्ये काय करायचं आहे, तर स्टीम फ्लो रेट जो आहे तो कंट्रोल कसा करायचा हे आपल्याला आता स्टडी करायचं. द व्हेरिएशन इन लोड during the operation of a steam turbine can have a significant impact on its performance. In a practical situation, the load frequently varies with the designed or economic load, and thus there is always exist a considerable deviation from the desired performance of the turbine. The primary objective in the steam turbine operation is to maintain a constant speed of rotation irrespective of the varying load. So this can be achieved by means of governing in a steam turbine. There are usually many applications where we are using the steam turbines for power generation, and at the same time there are also chances that whatever the load requirement is there, it may vary. So depending on these varying conditions, it is necessary that we are providing an appropriate input supply, that is an appropriate quantity or the flow rate of steam which is fed to the turbine. So it becomes necessary that if there is more load on the turbine, then the flow rate is controlled accordingly, and for this purpose only we are going to study the three types of governing. So the following are the three types of governing. The first one is throttle governing, the second one is nozzle control governing, and the last one is bypass governing. So now we will see all these types one by one. Now we will see how actually the throttle governing works. So basically throttle governing is the most popular and easiest way to control the speed of the turbine. First of all, we will see what are the different components involved in this type of governing. So we are having a centrifugal governor which is driven from the main shaft of the turbine either by belt or gear arrangement. Then we are having a control valve which is used to control the direction of oil flow, which is supplied through the pipe from A to A and B to B. Then again we are having the servo motor or the relay valve, which has a piston that moves towards the left or right direction depending upon the pressure of oil flow through these pipes A to A and B to B. This cylinder is also connected with a needle which moves inside the nozzle. Now if we consider that the turbine is running under the normal speed, then everything in the turbine such as the control valve, then again the servo motor, piston position, the fly balls of the centrifugal governor, all these will be in normal position. At the same time, the mouths of both the pipes, that is A to A and B to B, they are also closed inside the control valve. For understanding the working of throttle type governing, we will consider two cases, that is when the load on the turbine increases, and the second case, that is when the load on this turbine will decrease. First we will consider case 1, that is when the load on the turbine will suddenly increase. With the increase in turbine load, the speed of the turbine will decrease, and this will reduce the centrifugal force of the turbine. Thus, the flyballs of the governor will come down due to the decrease in the speed, and this will also bring down the sleeve. Since the sleeve is connected to a control valve rod through a lever pivoted on the fulcrum, downward movement of the sleeve will raise the control valve rod. Now oil is coming from the oil sump, which is pumped by a gear pump, and this oil will flow through the pipe A to A as shown in figure. It will then enter into the relay cylinder, and it will force the piston to move in the left direction. Since the piston is connected with the needle, this needle will be also moved to the left direction with the movement of this piston. As a result of this, you can observe in the figure that is due to this left movement of the needle, there will be more opening, and as a result of this, a large amount of steam will flow from boiler to the turbine. Since the steam flow rate into the turbine increases, this will bring the speed of the turbine to the normal range. When speed of the turbine will come to the normal range, the flyballs will also come to its normal position, and under this condition, the sleeve and control valve rod will be again back to its normal position. So this was the working when the load was increased on the turbine. Now we will consider the second case, that is if the load on the turbine decreases. For the second case, we are having another diagram. So in the figure, now you can observe how the working will take place. टर्बाइन वरती जर लोड कमी झाला तर टर्बाइनच्या आउटपुट शाफ्टची स्पीड इन्क्रीज होणार. आता टर्बाइन शाफ्टची स्पीड इन्क्रीज झाली म्हणजेच सेंट्रिफ्युगल गव्हर्नर जो आपण टर्बाइन शाफ्टला कनेक्ट केलेला आहे आयदर बाय बेल्ट और गिअर अरेंजमेंट, तर टर्बाइनच्या शाफ्टची स्पीड इन्क्रीज झाल्यामुळे गव्हर्नरची स्पीड सुद्धा इन्क्रीज होणार. त्यामुळे फ्लायबॉल्स जे आहेत ते सेंट्रल पोझिशन पासून लांब जाणार, म्हणजेच फ्लायबॉल्सची मुवमेंट अपवर्ड डायरेक्शन मध्ये असणार आणि त्यामुळे स्लीव जो आहे तो वरच्या डायरेक्शनला लिफ्ट होणार. पुन्हा स्लीव जो आहे तो कंट्रोल वॉलला कनेक्टेड आहे, त्यामुळे स्लीवच्या मुवमेंटमुळे कंट्रोल वॉलची पोझिशन सुद्धा चेंज होणार. त्यामुळे जे पोर्ट्स आपले ए आणि बी पोर्ट्स जे आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये जर आपण डायग्राम मध्ये बघितलं आपल्याला लक्षात येईल की ऑइल संप मधून ऑइल जे आहे ते ऑइल संप मधून पाईप बी टू बी मधून ट्रॅव्हल करणार आणि मग फायनली रिले सिलेंडर मध्ये एंट्री करेल. कंट्रोल वॉल्व्सच्या बाबतीत बोलायचं झालं तरी जर वर्किंग आपला नॉर्मल कंडिशनला असतं तर कंट्रोल वॉल्व मध्ये आपल्याला जे दोन पिस्टन दिसतात ते दोन्ही पिस्टन पाईप ए आणि बी दोन्हीला देखील ब्लॉक करतात. पण आता या केसमध्ये टर्बाइन वरचा लोड डिक्रीज झाल्यामुळे स्पीड इन्क्रीज झाली. टर्बाइनच्या स्पीड इन्क्रीज झाल्यामुळे सेंट्रिफ्युगल गव्हर्नर जो आहे त्याचा स्पीड इन्क्रीज झाला, त्याच्यामुळे फ्लायबॉल्स वरती गेले, स्लीवची काहीतरी मुवमेंट झाली आणि त्यामुळे कंट्रोल वॉल्व जो आहे किंवा कंट्रोल वॉल्व रॉड जो आहे तो रॉड या दोन्ही पिस्टन्सना कंट्रोल वॉल्व मध्ये जे दोन पिस्टन्स प्रेझेंट आहेत त्यांना डाऊनवर्ड डायरेक्शनला पुश करणार. आता ह्या मुवमेंटमुळे काय होतंय बघा की वॉल्व बी जो आहे तो ओपन होतो आणि वॉल्व ए जो असणार आहे तो क्लोज्ड राहतो. तर कंट्रोल वॉल्व मध्ये या पिस्टन पोझिशनच्या चेंजेसमुळे ऑइल संप मधलं ऑइल जे आहे ते पहिल्यांदा कंट्रोल वॉल्व मध्ये येणार, त्यानंतर पाईप बी टू बी मधून ट्रॅव्हल करून फायनली ते जाणार रिले सिलेंडर मध्ये. आता रिले सिलेंडर मध्ये गेल्यानंतर हे ऑइल जे आहे ते रिले सिलेंडर मध्ये जो पिस्टन प्रेझेंट आहे त्या पिस्टनला पुश करणार फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शनला, म्हणजेच काय तर पिस्टन आपला ऑइल प्रेशरमुळे राईट डायरेक्शनला मूव्ह होणार. आता पुन्हा पिस्टनला नीडल जी कनेक्टेड आहे, पिस्टन जसं जसं आपला राईट डायरेक्शन मध्ये मूव्ह होणार त्याचप्रमाणे नीडल देखील आपली राईट डायरेक्शन मध्ये ट्रॅव्हल करेल. आता जर नीडल राईट डायरेक्शनला ट्रॅव्हल करताना तुम्ही डायग्राम मध्ये रेफर करू शकताय तर नीडलची राईट डायरेक्शनला मुवमेंट झाल्यामुळे काय होतंय बघा, बॉयलर कडून जी स्टीम सप्लाय जो असणार आहे टर्बाइनला जाणारा जो स्टीम सप्लाय रेट आहे तो डिक्रीज होतो आणि फायनली टर्बाइनला कमी प्रमाणामध्ये स्टीम सप्लाय भेटल्यामुळं टर्बाईनची स्पीड आधी जी फास्ट होती ती आता रिड्यूस व्हायला चालू आहे आणि अशा प्रकारे आपण टर्बाईनची स्पीड जी आहे ती पुन्हा नॉर्मल किंवा कंट्रोलमध्ये आणतो. सो दिस वॉज द वर्किंग related with throttle governing in case when the load on the turbine decreases. Now after throttle governing we will see the second type of governing, which is nothing but nozzle control governing. It is another method by which the turbine speed can be controlled. Nozzle control governing of steam turbine is basically used for part load condition. In this type, some set of nozzles are grouped together, so it can maybe 2, 3 or more number of groups, and each group of these nozzle is supplied by the steam which is controlled by the valves. So every valve is closed by the corresponding set of nozzle. Steam's flow rate is also controlled by these nozzles. Actually, nozzle control governing is restricted to the first stage of turbine, whereas the subsequent nozzle area in the other stage remains constant. According to the load demand, some nozzles are in active position, whereas the remaining are in inactive position. Suppose the turbine holds 10 number of nozzles, and if the load demand is reduced by 50%, then 5 number of nozzles are in open condition, whereas the rest will be inactive. So this method is suitable for simple impulse turbine. It is process where a rate of steam flow is regulated depending on the opening and closing of a certain set of nozzles rather than regulating its pressure. Now if we refer to the diagram given here, so in this diagram you can observe that the nozzles are divided into 3 groups, that is N1, N2 and N3, and the control valves V1, V2 and V3, they will control the amount of steam supply to each nozzle group respectively. Under full load condition, all the valves will be opened and thus the steam will flow through all these valves and it will enter through the nozzle and finally to the turbine. However, if the load decreases, then we can decide on which group of nozzles are to be made inactive. Then accordingly, the valve V2 or V3 can be closed, and thus we can restrict the supply of steam through these valves and finally to the turbine through these nozzles. So this was all about the nozzle governing. And now we will see the last type of governing, which is nothing but bypass governing. For exam point of view, the first 2 types, that is throttle governing and nozzle governing, are very important, because if you refer to all the previous papers for this subject, then you can see that either throttle governing or mostly they have asked nozzle governing. However, if we consider bypass governing, then up till now I think that they have never asked any question or in any of the paper related with bypass governing. But still we will see what is bypass governing. It is a method where a bypass line is provided for the steam. Especially this is used when the turbine is running in overloaded condition. So the bypass line is provided for passing the steam from the first stage nozzle box into a later stage where work output increases. This bypass steam is automatically regulated by the lift or valve, which is under the control of the speed of the governor for all loads within its range. As shown in figure, you can observe that if the load on the turbine increases, and suppose if it is more than the economical load, then this bypass valve will automatically open and it will allow the steam to pass from this first stage to the last stage. So in this way the bypass governing will work. And with this we have now completed all the types of governing of steam turbines. Now there is one more last point in this chapter remaining, which is nothing but losses in steam turbines. So we will see that point in the next slide. Now we will see the last point from this chapter, that is losses in steam turbine. So following are the points or the factors which are responsible to reduce the output of the steam turbine. So we will see all these points one by one. First is the residual velocity loss. The steam leaves the turbine with a certain absolute velocity, which results in loss of kinetic energy, and this loss is about 10 to 12%, and we can minimize it by multi-staging. Practically speaking, it is not possible to utilize the entire kinetic energy which is available with the steam. So with the help of multi-staging, we can just reduce this percentage loss and extract the kinetic energy as much as possible. The second type of losses in steam turbine is losses due to friction in nozzle. It is the important loss in a impulse turbine which occurs when the steam flows through the nozzle. So this loss takes place due to friction in the nozzle and the formation of eddies. There is also similar type of friction loss related with the turbine blades. So this loss takes place due to friction of the surface of the blades. As a result of blade friction, the relative velocity of steam is reduced while the steam is gliding over the blade. Now let's see a few more losses related with the steam turbine in the next slide. So the next type of loss is the losses due to leakage. The leakage occurs between the shaft, bearings and stationary diaphragms carrying the nozzles in case of impulse turbines. In reaction turbine, the leakage occurs at the blade tips and it is about 1 to 2%. Then again, the next losses are due to mechanical friction. It is a loss in both the turbines, that is impulse and reaction turbine, which occurs due to the friction between the shaft and wheel bearing, as well as regulating the valves. This loss can be minimized or reduced by lubricating the moving parts of the turbine. The next type of loss is losses due to wetness of steam. So in multi-stage turbine, condensation occurs at the last stage. So in the dragging water particles with steam, some kinetic energy of steam is lost. It is also called as a moisture loss. When the steam enters into the turbine, then it is superheated, but as it goes on passing up to the last stage, it becomes wet. The velocity of the water particles is less than as compared to that of steam, and as a result of this, the steam has to drag these water particles, which definitely reduces the kinetic energy of the steam. So the moisture losses are also the major losses in steam turbine. And lastly, the radiation losses. It is a loss in both the turbines, which takes place due to difference of the temperature between the turbine casing and the surrounding atmosphere. So this can be reduced by insulating the turbine. So these were all the losses in case of steam turbines. And with this, I conclude the end of this 4th chapter. For any queries related with this chapter, you can either mail me or directly contact me. I will also share the notes of this chapter very soon. And for now, thank you very much.